The autumn wind howled like a banshee through the skeletal trees, carrying with it the sharp sting of impending winter and the ghosts of memories long buried. In the heart of the forgotten cemetery, where headstones leaned like weary sentinels, old Samuel Hargrove dropped to his knees before the marble slab etched with his beloved Eleanor's name, his arthritic hands trembling as he unfolded the fragile letter, her final words, pinned in a hospital bed just days before the cancer claimed her. As rain began to patter down, mixing with the tears streaming unchecked down his weathered face, Samuel whispered into the void, "This is all I have left of you, my love." Knowing that placing her last letter on the grave might finally sever the invisible thread binding him to a life that had ended 2 years ago. Samuel's world had shrunk to the size of that single gravestone since Eleanor's passing. At 82, he moved through his days like a shadow, the once vibrant house they shared now a hollow shell echoing with silence. Mornings began with black coffee in her favorite mug, the one with the faded daisy pattern she'd bought on their honeymoon in Maine, and evenings ended with him sitting in her rocking chair by the window, staring at the empty street where she'd wave goodbye to neighbors. But today was different. Today marked the anniversary of her death, and the letter burned in his pocket like a coal from hell, demanding release. He smoothed the paper against the cold stone, his fingers tracing the loops of her handwriting elegant even in weakness. "My dearest Sam," it began, "if you're reading this, I've gone ahead to prepare our eternal home." The words blurred through his tears, but he knew them by heart. She'd written of their shared dreams, the children they'd lost to miscarriages, the quiet joys of growing old together. "Don't mourn too long," she'd urged. "Find light in the darkness." But how could he? The darkness had swallowed him whole. As he knelt there, the cemetery seemed to come alive with whispers. A young couple strolled by on the path, hand in hand, their laughter a cruel reminder of what he'd lost. Samuel envied them, then pitted them for the heartaches yet to come. Life, he'd learned, was a thief that stole in increments, first youth, then health, then love. He pressed the letter flat, securing it with a small stone from the path, as if anchoring her spirit to the earth a little longer. Memories flooded him like a tidal wave. Their first meeting at the county fair in 1962, where Eleanor, with her fiery red hair and infectious smile, had challenged him to a pie-eating contest. He'd lost spectacularly, blueberry stains on his shirt, but won her heart. 48 years of marriage followed, building a home, nursing each other through illnesses, dancing in the kitchen to old jazz records. Even in her final months, when the pain twisted her features, she'd squeeze his hand and say, "We're in this together, Sam." Always. But now, alone, the togetherness felt like a lie. He rose slowly, joints protesting, and turned to leave when a soft voice startled him. "Excuse me, sir? Are you all right?" A young woman, no older than 30, stood nearby, her coat dappled with rain, holding a bouquet of wilted roses. She had kind eyes, the color of fresh earth, and a scar faint across her cheek, like a story half told. "I'm fine," Samuel muttered, wiping his face. But she didn't leave. Instead, she knelt beside Eleanor's grave, reading the inscription aloud. "Eleanor Hargrove, beloved wife and eternal light. 1940 to 2023. The woman smiled sadly. "She sounds wonderful. My grandmother had the same name. Lost her last year, too." Samuel nodded, unsure why he lingered. "Cancer," he said simply. "Same here," she replied, placing a rose on the grave next to his letter. "I'm Lily. Come here every week. Helps with the grief, you know." They talked then, under the gathering storm. Lily shared how her grandmother had raised her after her parents' accident, teaching her to bake apple pies and play the piano. Samuel found himself opening up, words tumbling out like leaves in the wind, the loneliness, the endless nights, the guilt of surviving. For the first time in years, he felt seen, not just pitied. As the rain intensified, Lily offered him a ride home. In her small car, filled with the scent of fresh-baked bread from the bakery where she worked, Samuel felt a spark of warmth. She dropped him off, promising to check in. That night, for the first time, he didn't cry himself to sleep. Instead, he dreamed of Eleanor, smiling, whispering, "Find light, Sam." Days blurred into weeks. Samuel returned to the cemetery often, but now with a purpose beyond mourning. He'd bring coffee in a thermos, sitting by the grave, reading aloud from old books Eleanor loved. One afternoon, Lily appeared again, this time with a picnic basket. "Thought you might like company," she said shyly. Their conversations deepened. Lily confessed her own struggles of failed marriage, a job that paid the bills but starved the soul. Samuel shared stories of his youth, working the docks in Boston, saving every penny for their dream house. "Life's about the people you share it with," he told her. "Don't waste it on regrets." One evening, as sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lily revealed a secret. "My grandmother. She wasn't just Eleanor. She was your Eleanor's sister. They lost touch years ago after a family feud." Samuel's heart skipped. The scar on Lily's cheek? From a childhood fall, just like the one Eleanor described her sister having. The twist hit him like lightning. Eleanor had spoken of her estranged sibling with sorrow, a rift over inheritance that time never healed. Lily pulled out a faded photo, two young women, arm in arm, one with red hair like Eleanor's. "She left me letters too," Lily said, tears welling. "One mentioned you, Sam. Said you were the kindest man she'd known." Emotions surged: joy, pain, wonder. Here was a piece of Eleanor, alive in this young woman. They hugged, the cemetery transforming from a place of endings to one of unexpected beginnings. Samuel felt the weight lift, just a little. But grief is a sly companion, retreating only to strike anew. As winter approached, Samuel's health faltered. A cough turned to pneumonia, landing him in the hospital. Lily visited daily, reading to him from Eleanor's favorite novels, holding his hand as nurses bustled by. "Your family now," she whispered. In those sterile rooms, Samuel reflected on life's fragile beauty. He'd placed the letter to let go, but instead, it had drawn in new light. Eleanor's words echoed, "Find light in the darkness." Lily was that light, a bridge between past and present. Recovering at home, Samuel invited Lily for Christmas. They decorated the tree with ornaments Eleanor had cherished, laughing over burnt cookies. For the first time, the house felt alive again. Samuel realized healing wasn't forgetting. It was weaving new threads into the tapestry of memory. Yet, as snow blanketed the world outside, a deeper twist awaited. One night, sorting through Eleanor's old trunk, Samuel found another letter addressed to her sister. "Forgive me," it read. "Life's too short for grudges. If you find this, know I loved you always." Tears flowed as he handed it to Lily. "She wanted reconciliation," he said. Lily's eyes widened. "Then let's honor that." Together, they planned a memorial, inviting distant relatives. The event, held in the spring, bloomed with stories and forgiveness. Samuel stood tall, sharing how loss had taught him resilience, how unexpected connections mended broken hearts. Through it all, the cemetery remained a touchstone. Samuel visited less in sorrow, more in gratitude, placing fresh flowers. Eleanor's favoritist whisper, "Thank you for leading me to light." As years passed, Samuel and Lily's bond grew. She married a kind man from the bakery, had a daughter named Eleanor. Samuel became the grandfather he'd always longed to be, telling tales of the past to wide-eyed little ones. In his final days, surrounded by family, Samuel closed his eyes with peace. The widower who knelt in despair had risen in hope, proving that even in death's shadow, love endures, twisting fates in beautiful, unforeseen ways. The spring after that transformative winter brought renewal to Samuel's life in ways he never imagined. Flowers burst forth in the cemetery, carpeting the ground like a quilt of forgotten promises, and Samuel found himself walking there not with heavy steps, but with a lighter heart. Lily had become a fixture in his routine, her visits a balm to his soul, reminding him that family could be chosen as much as born. One crisp morning, as birdsong filled the air, Samuel arrived at the grave with a small wooden box. Inside lay Eleanor's pearl necklace, the one she'd worn on their wedding day. "You always said it brought luck," he murmured, draping it over the headstone. But as he did, a shadow fell across him, a tall man in a tweed coat, his face lined with age and something akin to regret. "Samuel Hargrove?" the man asked, voice gravelly from years of disuse. Samuel straightened, wary. "That's me. Who are you?" The stranger extended a hand. "Name's Harlan. Harlan Whitaker. I knew your wife. Long ago." The name hit Samuel like a punch. Harlan, Eleanor's high school sweetheart, the one she'd left for him all those decades back. Stories of their youthful romance had been shared in whispers during quiet evenings, always with a tinge of what if. "What brings you here now?" Samuel demanded, emotions churning. Harlan sighed, pulling out a yellowed envelope. "She wrote to me, near the end. Said she wanted closure for everyone. Told me about you, how happy you made her. I came to pay respects. And to apologize." Twist upon twist, Samuel thought, as they sat on a nearby bench. Harlan spoke of his Lithia's successful career in law, but a string of failed marriages, children estranged. "Eleanor was the one that got away," he admitted. "But seeing her grave, it makes me realize I never truly let go." Samuel listened, anger giving way to empathy. Here was another soul haunted by the past, much like himself. "She had a way of touching hearts," he said softly. They shared stories: Eleanor's laugh, her stubborn streak, her unyielding kindness. By the end, Harlan handed Samuel the letter. "For you. She wanted you to know everything." That night, alone with the letter, Samuel read Eleanor's words to her old flame, gratitude for young love, but affirmation that Samuel was her true north. "You've given me a life full of joy," she'd written. Tears came, but healing ones. Harlan's appearance, unexpected as it was, reinforced the depth of their bond. Lily, when told, hugged him tight. "See? She's still watching over you." Together, they invited Harlan to dinner, forging an unlikely friendship. The three of them, widower, granddaughter by fate, and former rival, found solace in shared grief, laughing over Eleanor's quirks. As summer bloomed, Samuel volunteered at the local senior center, teaching woodworking classes. His hands, once idle in sorrow, now shaped birdhouses and toys, each piece infused with purpose. One student, a spry widow named Clara, caught his eye with her quick wit and shared love of jazz. "Reminds me of Eleanor," he confided to Lily. Clara's story mirrored his loss of a spouse to illness, children far away. Their coffee chats turned to dates, tentative steps toward companionship. Samuel felt guilty at first, as if betraying Eleanor's memory. But in a dream, she appeared, smiling. "Live, Sam. For both of us." The twist of romance in his twilight years brought kitsch tin to his days. Clara introduced him to line dancing, and he taught her to fish. Laughter returned to the house, mingled with Eleanor's spirit. Lily approved, teasing, "Grandpa's got a girlfriend." Yet, challenges arose. Samuel's health dipped, in a minor heart scare. In the hospital, Clara by his side, he reflected on vulnerability. "We're all just passing through," he told her. "But the connections we make, they last." Discharged, he proposed a trip to Maine, retracing his honeymoon with Eleanor, now with Clara. The journey was poignant: waves crashing on rocks, lobster dinners, sunsets over the bay. At a cliffside overlook, Samuel scattered a pinch of Eleanor's ashes, whispering farewell. Clara held his hand, understanding without words. Back home, autumn returned, cycling life onward. Harlan visited again, bringing news. He'd reconciled with his children, inspired by their talks. "You showed me it's never too late," he said. Samuel's circle expanded, a web of lives intertwined by loss and love. At Thanksgiving, the table groaned under food, surrounded by Lily's family, Clara, Harlan, and even distant cousins from the memorial. Toasts were raised to Eleanor, the catalyst for it all. In quiet moments, Samuel returned to the cemetery, placing trinkets: a seashell from Maine, a photo of the gathering. "You'd be proud," he'd say. The grave, once a symbol of end, now represented continuity. As winter neared, another surprise: Lily announced her pregnancy. "If it's a girl, Eleanor," she beamed. Samuel's heart swelled, tears of joy mixing with melancholy. Life's twists, he realized, were gifts in disguise, teaching resilience, forgiveness, the profound humanity in shared suffering. Nights found him in the rocking chair, Clara's head on his shoulder, listening to jazz. Peace settled like snow, blanketing old wounds. The widower had knelt in despair, but risen to embrace the unexpected, proving love's enduring power to heal and transform. With the new year came fresh snow, blanketing the cemetery in pristine white, as if nature itself sought to soften the edges of grief. Samuel, now 83, trudged through it with Clara by his side, her arm linked in his for support and affection. They'd placed a wreath on Eleanor's grave, adorned with ribbons in her favorite blue, a ritual that bound past and present in quiet harmony. Life had accelerated in beautiful chaos. Lily's belly swelled with promise, her husband doting, while Harlan became a regular, sharing meals and wisdom from his reconciled family. But amid the joy, a shadow loomed. Samuel's doctor visits revealed arthritis worsening, mobility fading. Time catches us all, he joked, but the fear gnawed. Would he see the baby born? One stormy afternoon, confined indoors, Samuel delved into Eleanor's old journals, hidden in the attic. Page after page revealed depths he'd never known, poems of unspoken dreams, regrets over lost children, fierce love for him. An entry twisted his gut. Sam thinks I was always strong, but nights I cried alone, fearing I'd leave him shattered. The revelation hit hard, humanizing Eleanor beyond the pedestal he'd placed her on. She wasn't just saintly wife. She was flawed, vulnerable, just like him. Sharing with Clara, she nodded. We all have hidden pains. That's what makes love real. This insight spurred Samuel to write his own letters to Lily, the unborn child, even Harlan. Lessons from an Old Fool, he titled them. Pouring out wisdom. Cherish the mundane. Forgive quickly. Seek connections. It became therapy, easing the ache of impending loss. Spring thawed the world, and with it came the birth. Lily's labor was long, tense, but ended in cries of "Liffia girl." Eleanor rose. Holding her tiny form, Samuel wept. Your great-grandma's watching, he whispered, feeling the cycle complete. The baby brought bustle diapers, lullabies, sleepless nights. Samuel insisted on sharing. Clara helped, her gentle touch a comfort. But twists persisted. One day, a lawyer called. Eleanor's estranged sister Lily's grandmother had left a small inheritance, discovered late. It funded a college account for little Ellie, a posthumous gift bridging rifts. Harlan, moved, started a foundation for cancer research in Eleanor's name. Her legacy lives, he declared at the launch, Samuel cutting the ribbon with trembling hands. Summer picnics in the park became tradition, Ellie gurgling on blankets as stories flowed. Samuel taught her first words, his voice cracking with emotion. Clara proposed then, under an oak tree. Let's make it official, she said. At their age, a simple ceremony, vows exchanged in the backyard, Lily as witness. Honeymoon. Back to Maine, Ellie in tow. Waves lapped as Samuel reflected. From kneeling in despair to standing in joy, life's plot twists had rewritten his story. Autumn leaves fell, mirroring his slowing pace. A fall broke his hip, hospital stays lengthening. In pain, visions came. Eleanor, young and vibrant, beckoning. Not yet, he'd mutter. Lily read his letters aloud, tears flowing. You've given us so much, Grandpa. Harlan visited, sharing regrets mended. Clara held vigil, whispering love. Discharged to home care. Samuel savored moments. Ellie's first steps toward him, Clara's hand in his. He returned to the cemetery one last time, wheelchair-bound, placing a lock of Ellie's hair on the grave. Our legacy, he said. Winter's grip tightened, and Samuel's light dimmed. Surrounded by loved ones, he slipped away peacefully, a smile on his lips. The widower's journey ended not in solitude, but enveloped in the family he'd built from ashes of loss. At his funeral, in that same cemetery, mourners gathered. Lily spoke. He taught us that grief opens doors to unexpected love. Harlan added, a man who turned pain into purpose. Clara placed on his grave a letter, his wife's last, retrieved years ago. Together again, she whispered. Life moved on, but Samuel's spirit lingered in Ellie's laugh, Lily's strength, the foundation's work. The story of the widower proved. From a simple act of placement came profound human connections, twisting sorrow into enduring hope. Years flowed like a river after Samuel's passing, carving new paths through the lives he touched. The cemetery, once a haunt of sorrow, became a place of pilgrimage for Lily, who brought Ellie there on anniversaries, telling tales of the great-grandfather who'd bridged worlds. He placed a letter and found us, she'd say, Ellie's small hand clutching flowers. Clara, now in her 70s, lived in the old house, tending the garden Eleanor had loved. Grief for Samuel was soft, woven with gratitude. She volunteered at the senior center, continuing his classes, each birdhouse a tribute. Harlan's foundation thrived, funding breakthroughs that saved lives. He remarried late, crediting Samuel's influence. That widower showed me redemption, he'd toast at galas. Ellie grew into a spirited teen, red hair like her namesake, curious about her roots. At 16, she discovered the letters Samuel's wisdom, Eleanor's journals. "I want to write stories," she declared, inspired by their emotions. Lily encouraged her, balancing motherhood with bakery ownership. Her husband passed unexpectedly from a heart attack, thrusting her into widowhood. Echoes of Samuel's pain hit hard. How did he endure? She wondered, visiting the graves Eleanor's, Samuel's side by side. In her darkest nights, a twist emerged. An old friend from the bakery, widowed too, offered comfort. Their bond bloomed slowly, mirroring Samuel and Clara's. Life cycles, Lily mused. Ellie, delving deeper, uncovered a family secret in the Journalsa, half-sibling of Eleanor's, given up for adoption. The revelation shocked, another branch to the tree. With Harlan's help, they traced a woman named Grace, living in California, unaware of her heritage. Contacting Grace brought initial skepticism, then tearful reunion via video. "I always felt something missing," Grace said. Flying east, she met the family at the cemetery, placing a photo on the graves. "Thank you for finding me." The gathering swelled cousins, friends, foundation supporters. Stories intertwined. Grace's life as an artist, her own losses. Ellie bonded instantly, collaborating on a book about the family saga. Clara, frail now, beamed. Samuel would love this. Her health declined, but surrounded by love, she passed peacefully, buried beside Samuel. Reunited, Lily whispered. Ellie published the book, Threads of Loss and Love, dedicated to the widower who started it all. It became a bestseller, touching hearts with its message. Grief's twists lead to profound connections. At the launch, Ellie spoke. "My great-grandfather knelt in despair, placing his wife's last letter. From that act came a tapestry of lives healed." Harlan, in his 90s, attended, pride shining. Full circle. Lily, remarried, watched Ellie Thrivia writer, advocate for mental health. The baby once held by Samuel now held the torch. Decades later, an elderly Ellie returned to the cemetery with her grandchildren. Placing a copy of her book on the graves, she whispered, "Your story lives on." The wind carried echoes of laughter, love, resilience. The widower's simple gesture had rippled outward, proving humanity's core. In loss, we find each other. In twists, we discover strength. In memory, we endure. Thus, the tale of placement became legenda beacon for the bereaved, reminding that endings birth beginnings, and love, eternal, weaves us all together.